Hello guys, it's finally here. We are starting the school year and I'm excited. This is the intro video for Mr. Mills's classes. I'm doing one video for Algebra 2 and for Foundations of Algebra. What we're going to try to do is to hit some of the high points from the syllabus and then talk to you about the Modern Classroom format that we'll be using this year. This is going to be our setup for our face-to-face classes as well as our virtual classes. So I'm excited to be working with you, and let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, we are starting here in the syllabus. Now, even though I'm looking at the syllabus for Algebra 2, I want to make sure that the foundation students understand that this is the same information. The part that I'm going to talk about is going to be the overlap between the two courses. Now, I want to make sure also that it's clear that we are not going to cover everything in the syllabus in this video. So I want everyone, it's important that you go over the syllabus with your parent or guardian before you all do the sign off, whether you do the sign off virtually or if you print out the syllabus and then sign the back page. Either way, I want you to read that information to make sure that you're clear. All right, so first of all, let's start with Remind. Now, Remind, you've probably gotten several announcements. You had maybe a couple from me and then lots from the district and otherwise. There is a Remind for your class. So for Foundations of Algebra, you will look at your syllabus and you will see that, and that's only if you have not already joined. Many of you are already in the Remind group. If your information is accurate in Infinite Campus, then you're already there. This is for the students that are in Algebra 2 because I have 4 Algebra 2 sections, and each one of those classes have different links. So this link will take you there so you can see which one if you are not already in the group. That's for parents and for students. Okay, one thing I want to talk about next is going to be the same for both classes is the grading policy. For each 9-week period, we have our minor grades, which are 40%, and our major grades, which are 60%. Now, here's what I need you to understand, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we talk about the Modern Classroom format. Your minor grades will be based off of mastery checks, and you will either basically get an A for a mastery check, or you will get a missing or incomplete, which basically is a 0 for a mastery check as well. Here's why. Mastery is when you work at something until you can show a level of proficiency, and for our math department, we have decided that that's 80%. So if you have an assignment and you do not reach 80% mastery, we will give you feedback, and if it's a minor grade, we will give it back to you for you to redo and revise until you get to at least that 80% benchmark or threshold. Now, major grades are not like that. Major grades, which will be your unit tests and your projects, is one and done. So you'll have several mastery checks and other things along the way that'll be minor grades in preparation for the unit test or the unit project. But on that test or project, you have one opportunity to get that done. Now, like I said, for a minor grade, if you do not achieve mastery, you will have an opportunity to revise and improve that paper until you get that score up to the minimum level of 80%. Now, what we'll see, and we'll talk about a little bit more in the PowerPoint, is exactly how that mastery grading is going to work. Your grades will be posted in Infinite Campus. Please make sure, students, you definitely need to be able to log in. Hybrid students, that's going to be a part of how we do attendance for the days when you're not physically in the building. And virtual students, that is how we'll do attendance for you each day, Monday through Friday. So it is important that you get in the habit of going to Infinite Campus on a daily basis. Now, you have a grade level or class level Google Classroom. That information is the way to access Infinite Campus as far as logging in for attendance will be placed there. So you need to make sure that you go to your class Google Classroom page and that's going to have the directions to show you how you need to log in to be counted or marked present. Parents, if you do not have Parent Portal, it has the information here up on the screen to reach Miss Tammy Story, and with the proper documentation, she will allow you to be able to get a username and password, so you'll be able to follow up on your students and see how they're doing in real time in Infinite Campus. We have our progress reports, some of the technology that we'll be using: Google Classroom, of course, Edpuzzle, Khan Academy, Flipgrid, etc. There are several things we'll be using this year, and we're learning this year. We want to thank you for trusting us with your student, for your students trusting us to educate them. And as we go through, we're going to model learning by doing. So some things may not work as well the first time, but we're going to learn from that, and we're going to continue to build, and it's going to be a successful year. Now, excuse me, I talked a little bit about this in the virtual student meeting. We won't talk a lot about it now. Student expectations, there'll be some things that will be different. For those that are hybrid, we'll talk about those procedures as far as what you'll need to be doing in the classroom and those things face to face. But for our virtual students, all assignments for the week are due a Sunday night at 11:59. When I say virtual students, I'm talking about students that are 100% virtual. Okay, now teacher communication and expectations. I will show you my office hours at the end of this presentation. Basically, if I have an office hour during class time, and I'll identify which ones those are, I'll be responding to email only during that time slot. If I don't have students, then it'll be fine to receive a call and to move on from there. It's very important that as you're contacting me, I will get back to you just as quickly as I possibly can. We've put videos together and tried to build out this curriculum to make it as user-friendly as possible, but we want to be available to you to make sure that you get whatever you need to make sure that you have an opportunity for the instruction and make sure that you're successful. One thing that I do want to read, and this is true for all students, whether you're hybrid or virtual, we have a virtual online disciplinary protocol. We're starting school a bit later from some of the other districts around us. So this policy has come as a result of some things that have been seen. That is not what we want to have here at Early County High, and I just need to go over this information. Any misuse of technology in attendance or while logged into an Early County High School classroom or session will result in a violation of the school's rules of conduct. In the event of a violation, and to ensure that all students and teachers are protected, the principal may take corrective measures that are believed to be in the best interest of the student and the school, provided such action does not violate school board policy or procedures. Now, so what would be violations? No recording or taking pictures of teachers, staff, or other students on these videos. No creating or sharing videos of teachers and or students that are currently enrolled in the class. No creating freeze frame pictures, filters, etc. with teachers or students in the classroom, so no memes. Students should dress appropriately in the virtual online class platform. No verbal or written disrespect will be allowed. So no cyberbullying, nothing of that nature, and no inappropriate or disrespectful phone calls to teachers or staff. Communication is going to be critical this 9 weeks, this year actually, not just this 9 weeks, but this school term, because you're everybody is virtual to some degree, either 20%, 60%, or 100% virtual. So if you're not in the building and you need information or you need some clarity on something, I need to be able to get in touch with you. But we need to have a process so that we can do that clearly, get your questions answered, and then make sure you have what you need to move forward so that I can get to the next student. Okay, now classroom discipline is the same as what I've had before. Supplies and materials, the main thing I'm looking for is for you to have headphones that'll plug into a computer, Chromebook, preferably earbuds, and also composition books. A lot of you are going to be virtual most of the time, so I'm not going to make a big deal about a particular kind of notebook. A 3-ring binder will be acceptable. My main thing for composition books is simply for you to be able to take that composition book to hold up your work. So for instance, for you to hold up your particular problem there, take a picture of that and then send me your work, because I'm going to need to see your work this year as we're working through, and not just the answers. Okay, now the TI-84 Plus, we'll have those, we'll use those somewhat. I do have an online scientific calculator that you'll be able to use that will definitely cover most of the things that we'll start off with. But if you'll go ahead and get an 84 Plus if you're able to, that will help you not only for my course but also for your college algebra or perhaps your college statistics course if you're planning on going to college. All right, so now that's some of the stuff from the syllabus. Let's talk a little bit more about the Modern Classroom. So this is a Modern Classroom. So what does that mean? I am a 2020-2021 Modern Classroom Fellow, so I create instructional videos so that my students can move at their own pace and be graded on mastery. This use of technology allows me to work with students one-on-one or in small groups. In my class, different students will be working on different lessons on any given day, collaborating with students who are working at their pace or seeking help from students who may be ahead of them. All students revise their work until they show a true understanding of the material and then advance to the next lesson. For parents or guardians, or even you, the student, you can learn more about this research-based instructional model at modernclassrooms.org. So let's look at how that's actually going to work. So there are three big pieces here. Blended instruction. So what do we mean by blended instruction? Basically, instead of having a lecture with me standing in front of the room, I've recorded those pieces that would be lectures, and your students will see them, or you will see them, as short videos. So those are teacher created. This allows me to support students individually and also to work with small groups and give feedback. The other thing that's good about this particular model is if a student is out or a student is absent for whatever reason, then they can go to the video and they can get the content that they missed. It's also self-paced structure. So students learn at their own pace within each unit of study. So what does that look like? Students, you'll see in Google Classroom that you will have your units outlined or your lessons outlined, and in each one of those lessons it has a recommended due date. Now that recommended due date, you may finish before that due date, you may finish after that due date, you may finish on that date. So whatever the case is, that's going to be how it's set up for you. And then the unit test is the one date that does not move. So that's the one that's hard, a hard deadline that we have to have that finished by that particular time. The third thing is mastery-based grading. Students progress when they demonstrate mastery. Students advance through material only when they're ready. Students build persistence and growth mindsets through revision and metacognitive reflection. So you'll be asked to do reflections after most of your lessons. And in terms of mastery grading, when you reach 80%, it's going to be a 95 in the grade book. Now, if you do a mastery check and you make 100, then you get 100. But as long as you make at least 80%, get at least 80% of that correct, that's going to be reflected as an A in the grade book. If you don't reach mastery, it's going to be marked missing or marked as a 0. Now that 0 is not going to stay there forever. That 0 will only be there until you revise it and improve the grade. So let's say that you didn't meet mastery the first time. I'll tell you to go back and revise it, give you a second chance. On the second assignment, you do reach mastery. So what's going to be in the grade book? Not the 0 anymore, but that 95 or 100 based on how you did. That's what we mean by mastery-based grading. So I want you to make sure that you understand that, and as we work through it, parents and students, I ask that you be patient with the process. There is a method to the madness as we work through it. So what are you going to do daily? The first thing that you need to do every day when you come into class, or for those students that are virtual, is you're going to log in to Google Classroom. So when you do that, you're going to complete the daily sponge or do now. So this is used for attendance purposes when students are on virtual days. It will be at the top of your Google Classroom, which you will see in our learning management system intro video that'll be showing next. Okay. The next thing is you need to look at the progress tracker, which will be found under the resources tab to see where you are in the unit. It will show you if you're behind pace, if you're on pace, or if you're ahead of pace, or if you need to go back and revise something. And if you do do need to revise, it'll tell you what you need to be revising. Then you're going to start working on the unit where you are in the progress tracker. You'll take your mastery checks and tests as they are assigned, and then you'll contact me if you have any questions. What I want to encourage you with is please don't get frustrated. You'll be asked to revise your work until it's correct, until we reach that 80% or better mastery level. This is part of the mastery process, and that's how it's designed and set up to work, and it's been proven to be effective. As far as my contact information, I am Tory Mills. As I've said, this is my email address. That is my preferred contact Monday through Thursday. You see the office number here. As far as my extension, I have office hours during the day, every day of the week. So Monday through Thursday, these are the slots that are identified as office hours. The first 2 slots are during student time, so I'll only be able to answer email because I have students at those particular times of the day. But here from 3:10 to 3:30, assuming a regular day, 3:10 is the end of our school day, so I'll also be able to answer email or phone calls at that time much easier. Also on Fridays in a typical schedule, on our normal weekly schedule, Fridays is a virtual day. So from 1 to 3 p.m. I'll be available if we need to set up a video conference or email or phone call or whatever we need to do. And I'll send out a Calendly or some type of reminder that'll allow you to book appointments, probably about 15 minutes a piece. And then as we'll just set those out and do those by availability. If you need help and you're not able to reach me during one of these prescribed times, please email me. Please let me know. I'm here to help you. I want to help you, but I need to know from you what you need, okay? So this is just a getting started video to kind of give you some orientation as far as who we are, what we're looking for, and then hopefully this will give you a start. And you'll be able to kind of look at the Google Classroom and other components that are placed there. And if you have any questions, we're here. And we're excited for another great school year at Early County High.